Welcome to our Midwest podcast on waste and recycling. I'm here with Joe, Eric, and Evan. I'm Tanner. We're going to start off with an interview of a district manager from Waste Management Facility in Wisconsin. Just going to ask you a little bit on recycling. I guess so.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. What is your position at Waste Management currently?
I'm a district manager.
Okay, sounds good. And what type of recycling do you guys practice at Waste Management?
Well, this is a predominantly commercial plant. So our largest inbound volume is corrugated.
Okay. So would you say that's like a single stream or you have
No,
a
we're
sorting?
not a single stream.
You are not.
No,
Okay.
we are not a single stream. No,
Okay.
we're what they call a high grade plant.
Okay. So what type of sorting do you guys practice there then? Do you have a sorting facility?
We are we're not a sorting facility like a Germantown, like a single stream plant. We'll get material in that's already pre-sorted, and then we will sort it down and upgrade the material. That's why it's called a high-grade plant.
Okay.
So we'll get material in already sorted from a customer. We'll buy it for a certain commodity, and then we'll upgrade it to make money.
Okay. So once you upgrade it, where do you just sell it or send it somewhere else, or what do you do with once you have
We
sorted
bale
it?
it up. We bale it up, and we ship it out.
Okay.
Excuse me.
And like you ship it out to other waste management facilities or to other companies that are purchasing it?
We go right to a mill. We go right to a mill with it. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We ship
Perfect.
about 3,000 tons a month.
Okay. I guess also just what kind of major improvements have you guys made in the past, say, 10 years at your facility?
Let's see, improvements. Probably diversifying a little bit more what we do. We do a lot of different types of commercial plastics, like shrink wrap,
Okay.
stretch wrap, you know what that is.
Yeah.
And then other types of banding and buckets. We have diversified to where we've got quite a list of different commodities that we take. Pretty much we go into a customer and we'll do a waste audit.
Okay.
And we'll see what materials they have. We'll take samples. We'll sample them out. So I think that's a big improvement for us here.
Okay. Perfect. I think that's all the questions I had. So I guess I just want to thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. So that was an interview on the commercial side of things. Now I'm going to throw it over to Joe, who has the point of view of a typical Midwestern citizen.
And we're here with Rachel. Hi, Rachel. How are you?
Hi, Jack.
All right. So we're going to start off with some basic questions on your recycling habits. Okay. So
Okay.
do you recycle?
I do.
All right. And what kind of materials do you recycle?
I recycle cardboard and plastic.
Okay. All right. And do you have a hard time recycling? Like, are there a lot of recycling bins in your house?
No, there's just one big bin for recycling. That's easy.
Oh, it's one bin. So you throw paper in with glass. It's like a single stream.
It's one big bin for paper, glass, cans, plastic, cardboard.
Okay.
All
Cool.
of that.
All right. So, what kind of culture did you grow up in? Like, did you recycle a lot when you were younger? Did your parents have you recycle?
He always used to recycle bottles and cans, but we never recycled paper or anything like that. Just bottles.
Okay. Have you ever gotten money, like from recycling, such as returning cans, depending on where you're from? And where are you from?
I am from Lanesboro, Massachusetts, and we would return bottles, like beer bottles and cans, and get the 5 cents back.
Oh, cool. Okay. Is that a good incentive to recycle?
Is it expensive?
Is that a good incentive for recycling, getting that 5 cents back?
Oh yeah, I think it is. I
All
think
right.
it made us
So
do
do
it a
you?
lot more than we would.
Yeah. Do you live with anyone that recycles?
Just my parents. Oh,
Oh, on
besides my
campus?
parents,
Yeah, yeah.
roommate recycles.
Good, good. And do you know anyone who does not recycle?
I think everyone I know recycles.
Okay. If you were to meet someone who didn't recycle, what do you think their reasoning would be?
Maybe because they're too lazy to sort things out, like
Okay.
sort their trash out.
Sure, that makes
They
sense.
just don't.
What about education? You think that plays a big role? Did you learn a lot about recycling when you were growing up?
I personally didn't learn about it. I only learned from my parents, but
Okay.
I'm not sure if other people have.
And then do you think different cities have higher recycling rates than others?
I think so. I think here is higher than my hometown.
Sure, that makes sense. So, what about electronic waste? Have you ever recycled a cell phone or a computer?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, and where would you recycle if you had anything like that to recycle?
Where would I recycle it?
Yeah, like where?
I'd probably bring it back to the store. Like, yeah, back to the store. Usually
Okay.
They took my phone.
Yeah, yeah. What about like batteries? Do you just throw batteries away?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, now we're going to switch gears to waste in general instead of just recycling. So, how much would you say, how much waste do you produce in a week?
Probably about one trash bag full.
Okay, that's a good amount. Do you recycle more than you waste or the other way around?
I think it's about even.
All right. And where does all that waste go? At least, what's your best guess?
To landfills.
All right.
Landfills, yeah.
Landfills, dump or something?
The dump.
All right. Well, I got to let you go. It's been nice talking.
Okay.
Thanks, Rachel. Yep.
Thanks, Joe.
Yep. Bye. So there you have it. Even a knowledgeable citizen doesn't know exactly where all the waste goes. I'll hand it over to Evan and Eric, who will let you know exactly where that plastic bag is going.
Hey there, it's Eric, and I'm going to talk about the garbage that is imported and exported out of the Midwest, the differences between urban and rural trash, the growing problem in Detroit, and the environmental impacts our waste has on the Midwest region. Garbage is shipped around the Midwest like a tradable good these days. In 2012, according to a DNR report, Wisconsin exported an estimated 170,000 tons of garbage. However, they also imported an estimated 385,000 tons from surrounding states like Illinois, Minnesota, Michigan, and Iowa. In Chicago, the situation is quite different. Most of their waste is either exported or burned. In a recent study done by the Chicago Tribune, it was found that 20% of their waste was burned, 20% of their waste was sent to the city landfill, and a staggering 60% was exported to either other parts of Illinois or out of state to Wisconsin and Indiana. I'm now going to talk about the differences between urban and rural waste. The main difference between them is the collection process. Collecting trash in a rural community is rarely profitable because of the cost of gas and the long distances the trucks have to travel between houses. In an urban community, however, the houses are much closer together and sometimes even share a large trash bin, which cuts down on the transportation costs and can make the trash industry very profitable. In Detroit, there is a particularly bad environmental disaster just waiting to happen. The leftover coke from the Canadian tar sands mining is getting dumped in Detroit and is starting to pile up at an astonishing rate. Right now, one of the piles is over 3 stories high and covers an entire city block. With little to do with the mostly useless coke, it will continue to pile up in Detroit until it reaches capacity, and then it will just sit there as a monument to the Canadian tar sands mining. Also, because the storage was meant only to be temporary, the containment vessels for the coke were not designed to be very durable and may very well release the next great environmental disaster onto Detroit in the coming years. The last topic I'm going to talk about is the environmental impacts of trash. Probably the largest impact trash has on the environment is from the gases it produces. According to the EPA, in 2012, the U.S. produced almost 15 million tons of methane from trash alone, not to mention the harmful gases like toluene and methylene chloride, which are produced in smaller but still significant quantities. Now I'm going to hand it off to Evan, who is going to talk about where your waste goes after you throw it out.
There are a few main types of facilities used in the processing of garbage, and they are largely the same across the country. Landfills are where the majority of our waste we throw away ends up, with about 55% of waste we produce going to these sites. Modern landfills are well engineered, and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has strict guidelines that all legal landfills in this country must follow. The following help protect the environment from contamination by the dumped waste. Restricting the location of landfills to areas away from things like fault lines, wetlands, and other areas which are more likely to cause damage to the landfill. Installing elaborate liners to keep the waste from leaching into the groundwater. Systems for collecting and removing leachate, the liquid that contains chemicals from the waste through which it passes. Regularly monitoring the groundwater in the area to make sure no leachate has gotten into the environment. Operating practices, such as compacting the garbage and regularly covering it with a layer of dirt to help control stray garbage and keep away pests. And comprehensive requirements for safely closing landfills and keeping them from becoming hazardous to human health and that of the environment. The U.S. recycles approximately 32.5% of its garbage. There are many different methods used for recycling different forms of waste. The Midwest Recycling Center, which has several locations throughout Missouri and Iowa, is able to recycle a wide range of materials, primarily electronic and commercial waste. The Single Stream Recycling Program in Madison is able to recycle paper, plastic, cans, glass, and metal from one single recycling bin. This makes for a more complicated process in the recycling center, but makes it much more convenient for the public to recycle. Burning garbage is a relatively common practice in rural areas of the Midwest. People living in rural areas may not have access to garbage disposal services or just may not want to pay for these services. People burn nearly all of their garbage together, which may be very bad for their health and that of the environment. Backyard burning of garbage can produce dioxins, which are very toxic chemicals that can get into our water and food supply by settling on crops and in waterways. Dioxins are produced by the burning of garbage. They do not exist in garbage before it is burned. This production of dioxins is related to the burning of garbage in burn barrels, which are very low-tech and inefficient devices when it comes to burning garbage. Commercial incinerators, on the other hand, are strictly regulated by the EPA to minimize the environmental impact of burning garbage. This is done by burning the waste at a high temperature and with plenty of oxygen to more completely combust the material.
And this is Tanner.
Joe.
Eric.
And Evan, and thank you for listening to our podcast on waste.
Until next time.